If I said to you, Cavs, Celtics, Eastern Conference Final next year, who wins?
Cavs in 5. Thank you, Colin. Good to see you, by the way. And I just assume, I follow you on Twitter, of course. I assume that you just checked the calendar wrong because I just went back to see if you deleted it. You congratulated the Celtics on winning the Eastern Conference in 2018. That would be this season. That was an oversight by you, right? You mean the following season if LeBron leaves,
yes,
right?
Yes, I think Cleveland for a year is better. I think going forward for the next 6, I think Boston's built to win long term.
Well, that's because you're convinced LeBron's going to come join you in Los Angeles. Not everyone leaves the gritty Northeast or in Cleveland, the Rust Belt, for the bright lights of L.A. like Colin Cowherd did. Can I just, one point on, everyone has said, well, if LeBron's staying, why won't he just say it? I believe, personally, LeBron doesn't know what he's doing. He's probably leaning one way. He's probably leaning towards leaving. But he can't say anything about what he's going to do because he doesn't know what he's going to do. I think this trade at least makes it slightly more likely he stays in Cleveland. But either way, Cleveland did great. Danny Ainge finally pulled the trigger in a kind of odd way. But I think both teams did pretty well in this, and I think LeBron maybe stays in Cleveland now.
Okay, I don't believe Cleveland's done. I don't think LeBron has the interest to play with an 18-year-old. It's just like Leonardo DiCaprio has no interest to be in a movie with a kid who was just a great high school actor. In the end, LeBron wants stars. I think Cleveland deals that pick and somebody else like a Kevin Love. Do you think Cleveland's done?
Oh, I don't think they're done. I think there is a universe that exists where come the NBA trade deadline, the New Orleans Pelicans are floundering, and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and all of a sudden their very sharp GM Kobe Altman, who got a really good package for Kyrie, calls up New Orleans and says, hey, how do you feel about 2 years of Iman Shumpert, the expiring deal of Channing Frye, and that delicious asset known as the Brooklyn pick? All we want is Boogie Cousins, who's probably leaving you at the end of the season anyway, New Orleans. If the Cavs were able to pull that off, and the Bulls are to buy out Dwayne Wade as we expect, this could be the Cavs' rotation, their starters, and their bench 5. You could have Isaiah Thomas, Dwayne Wade, LeBron, keep Kevin Love, and Boogie Cousins. Coming off the bench, Tristan Thompson, Kyle Korver, J.R. Smith, Derrick Rose. You could have a legitimate team to not only win the East, but to compete with, if not beat, the Warriors. I don't think the Cavs are done either. That's what makes this trade so crazy to me. I give Danny Ainge credit. He finally pulled the trigger. I don't understand why Danny Ainge, when he could have gotten Jimmy Butler, who's better than Kyrie, for 20 cents on the dollar, decided to go get Kyrie at 100 cents on the dollar. But this was the only trade the Cavs could have pulled off where they don't get worse this season and they have assets moving forward, either if LeBron leaves or if they want to supplement the team while LeBron is there.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. What do you make of the LeBron-Kyrie thing? Now, in retrospect, the deal's sealed. What do you make of how LeBron acted about the news and if LeBron kind of triggered it because he is an overwhelming presence?
It's possible that LeBron triggered it simply by being LeBron, simply by being there, and Kyrie wants to have a stage more to himself. But how did LeBron react to the news? Well, I'm sure you've shown the tweet on television today. He reacted to the news the way he's reacted to anything or everything throughout his 16-plus years in the spotlight since he was 16 years old, with grace and aplomb and perfectly. Like at this point, LeBron could have torched Kyrie. LeBron could have really damaged Kyrie's standing in Cleveland. LeBron instead goes the other way and makes it okay for Cavs fans to still cheer Kyrie when he comes back, to still celebrate him as a champion. And at this point, if you are hating on LeBron James, the guy, you are hating on the caricature of LeBron that you have created that never actually existed. He has been in the public eye for more years of his life than he's not been. 0 to 16, he's pretty anonymous. 16 to now almost 33, he's wildly famous. He has made one significant mistake, and that mistake raised $4 million for charity. He, of course, handled this perfectly. And people are like, oh, he's the one that leaked this. Prove it. Like, all the bad things people say about LeBron, they're conjecture, and this is what I think, this is what I've heard. The guy's been in the public eye for almost 2 decades. Nobody on the record will say anything bad about him. Nobody on the record will say LeBron did this, and this is why he's bad. It's always, this is what I'm hearing. He is who he's shown us he is, which is not only the best basketball player in the world, but he's giving Kyrie a life raft on his way out to Boston.
All right, you and I have been very critical. Kristine's been very supportive of Danny Ainge. You and I have been very, I'm afraid to dip into my savings account, Danny Ainge. And there's a big deal, and the Boston press falls for it. Danny's a gunslinger. And in the end, it's like, do we have to give him credit today? Do we have to say, Danny, you did a good job?
You do have to say Danny Ainge acquired, for the first time, because I don't think Gordon Hayward's quite a top 20 player.
No.
And Isaiah Thomas wasn't a top 20 player. For the first time since they had Kevin Garnett, the Celtics now have a top 20 player in the NBA. I will give him credit. I am perplexed by how he went about this. I believe Jimmy Butler to be better than Kyrie Irving. It's in the margins. They're certainly in the same area. Jimmy Butler was going for 20 cents on the dollar. Instead, you trade for Kyrie in a spot where it seemed like Cleveland had no leverage, and you pay 100 full cents on the dollar. You give up Isaiah Thomas, who plays the same position as Kyrie. Last year, Isaiah was second-team All-NBA. Kyrie was zero-team All-NBA. And I do think Kyrie's better, but last year, Isaiah Thomas had the better season. You give up Jay Crowder, who's valuable, especially on that contract. People like the Ante Zizic guy. I don't really care about him. And you give up that super valuable Brooklyn pick. I will say, now, again, Danny Ainge finally went all in, but it is hard to find the thread that makes sense on what the Celtics have been doing. We don't want to blow it all up. We want to just keep going. We want to wait out LeBron. Okay, but now, after your team was the 1 seed, you have 4 players coming back. You have Al Horford, you have Marcus Smart, you have Terry Rozier, you have Jaylen Brown. That is the entirety of the Boston Celtics from last year that will be on the roster next year. You lost Avery Bradley. You lost Jay Crowder and Isaiah Thomas, obviously. Now, I think Kyrie's awesome. I think Gordon Hayward's really good. And I think those 2 guys will do great on a team that finishes second place in the East.